Alright, should we have the candidate for treasurer, Esther Ng Kang?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Esther and I'm studying in Trinity College. I'm in my first year and I'm doing economics and management. I want to run for the role of treasurer and I think I'm accountable and organized, so I think I have the traits for the treasurer, and I think my main role is to just manage the funds well and just make sure that it's documented well, and I believe that for the funds, like the budgets for every event, whether it's social events or outreach or any speaker events we have, it's not just my individual role, but I think it has to be discussed within committee, and as a group we decide how we want to spend OEMC's funds. I also believe in transparency within the committee and also with the funds, so with money coming in and out, I'll make sure that they're documented well. I'm also receptive to any ideas and improvements that OEMC can have, and yeah, just manage the money well.
Okay. Thank you. I would like to use my position to ask first two questions. As current treasurer and soon to be former treasurer, the first question is, how far up do you think are you in the decision making as far as the use of funds is concerned? Because sometimes there will be conflict of opinion as to how much you should use and whether you should even use it or not. The second question is, in your manifesto you said that you aim to maintain a strong and stable level of finance. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Okay, so the first one is, if there's conflict with the funds, I think that for my role, I'll advocate that we spend with reasonable means. But I think it's not just my personal role, because as a committee we have to agree. So perhaps like a majority vote within the committee. And then the second question, which is on
how are you maintaining a strong and stable level of finance?
Okay, so I guess if we use the funds reasonably well, then there wouldn't be any problem with kind of like depleting funds or anything like that. But with more sponsorships, I think we have like this shell sponsorship, so I'm not very sure about the exact details on that.
Okay. So just to clarify,
Yeah.
On your first point, do you mean that the majority of the committee decide how the funds are being used, as opposed to someone having actually the final say? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I would say a majority, because there's 5 positions. So I believe like after discussion, the majority gets the vote.
Okay. And you at the moment have no plans to secure any other sponsorships?
No plans.
So the Shell sponsorship is actually an initiative by us this year. I'm not sure whether it will continue next year or not. I guess it depends on the committee.
Yeah, I guess to discuss, yeah.
Okay, yes, tell me.
I want to add on the part because we have heard 4 people talking, but none of you have mentioned about what you're going to do with how you're going to secure funding for future events. For our year, the credit should go to Leon. He's the secretary, but he looked for the funding for us. And majority of the big amount of money that we have now is we got it from Science Malaysia conference. And so for this committee, what is your plan to make sure that what was the strategy you had in your mind in order to secure more funding in the future?
We don't have any plans to hold a conference this year, so I guess our main way of getting finance would be through sponsorships, like companies coming in and probably like supporting us. But yeah, apart from that.
Do you think that fundraising will be your role, or should be there should be a dedicated position to do that?
I think fundraising will be my role, because it's under the finance and like the money of OUMC. But that's not to say that it limits the role. Like if Henry wants to appoint someone else to help specifically looking at sponsorship, then I guess it's not limiting the option.
I think
Someone
Can I-
raised
Kim
their
had-
hand.
Kim.
Yes, okay.
Wait, can I, because it sort of links to, sorry. You were saying like trying to get sponsors to fund you, but you're not actually going to organize like a conference or something. So how are you going to convince the people to fund you, like funders? We're not doing anything but funders. So can you sort of just elaborate or clarify a bit more?
I guess in terms of branding, so they can brand, like whenever, if we send out newsletters, they can have branding, so if they want to sponsor us through that way. But I guess, and then if they want to come in and talk and then sponsor us through that, yeah, but I have no like firm plan.
Okay. So Leong Kim was the first person.
So I'm essentially picking the lowest hanging fruit of a question. But in light of what we said earlier, I don't know if this question is going to be as relevant as it is, but if you do turn out to have as much money as this year's committee, in light of the recent debacle of the alleged misappropriation of funds for supposedly very expensive, quote-unquote, makan events, what is your stance on using a proportionate or supposedly disproportionate amount of money for social events and others?
I think again that was the committee's decision to spend the money, and if as a group they decide to spend and if that's reasonable for them, then that's for them to say. But I think for our committee, within us, if we decide what's reasonable, I think that's very subjective. So if we make plans and then we discuss and then we decide what's reasonable.
Well, my question is that you're going to be judging next year.
Yeah.
So you'll be one of the 5 people who will be making the decision.
Yeah.
So I want to know firmly, as the likely treasurer, what is your opinion on what this committee did?
I don't know the exact details, like how much exactly, so.
Okay, okay, fine. Let me rephrase. Do you think that social events deserve as much money as, say, speaker events or anything else? Or what would be your priority in allotting funds to different kinds of events? I suppose that would be better way to phrase it.
I guess it will be in line with the president and vice president, what their main goals are. So that's like welfare. And also I think this year we want to prioritize bonding. So I guess that would be makan events. But in terms of like speaker events, I think that depends on who we invite and how much we need to spend on that. So once again, that's based on committee discussion.
Okay. Did you raise your hand?
Yeah. Do you see yourself having a role that goes beyond money-related issues? Like, say, would you provide manpower to a speaker event?
As in, I provide.
Yeah, like, would you just go out? Manpower, like, yeah, like, or I mean, you get to.
I don't see my role like limited to just finance. So I do want to help out with like organizing, even like outreach, because I think that's important too. So yeah, that's in the line of what I want to do. So no, not just for my own needs.
Okay. Zaigan?
So my committee at one point we had huge problems with finding sponsorships. So to again put it in the context of this experience, we had to go out really hard to try to get sponsorship. And these people don't really come and just give money, usually they don't. So would you be prepared to do, in light of that, would you be prepared to do such, work to go out and try to find sponsorship? Because in my opinion, it's not going to be easy to just wait for sponsorship to come. They won't. So if you are prepared to do it, what kind of strategy will you do? Is it teamwork, or your job, or what is the organization?
So if we appoint sponsorship like person in charge, then I guess I'll work together and we'll work hard to get the sponsorships. But if it's my role, I think we'll discuss like who we want to target to get sponsorships from, and then go and email them and call them and see how they want to support us.
Yes,
do you have time for me?
Yeah, there's time.
Okay, thanks. Well, this isn't the question per se, it's just, given that you don't have firm plans about how you're going to go about getting sponsorship yet, one of the things you mentioned was trying to use the sort of branding appeal that we have to get companies to come in and pay. I mean, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a very sort of, I always thought that to be a slightly short-term-ish approach, because what we're doing is essentially grabbing onto a company, squeezing money out of them, and then they start like bugging us to send them their CVs, and they think that they have a right to employ all the people coming out of Oxford for auditions and so on. And then they realize they don't get enough bang for their buck, and then they drop us, and then we go on and suck another company. And then we just move around. We've done Axiata, we've done YTL, and then I don't know how long Shell's gonna last, but we last a long time. So yeah, and someone don't even return our call. So I mean, I just think that there should be something more than just the prestige aspect of it.
Because previously I think that the committee before us, they didn't do a lot of sponsorship. They expected people to give money. In the end, they just stopped because the fact was, OUMC was doing nothing in their eyes. What they see on a market event, that seems like nothing. So that's what what I think by our experiences is what we feel about sponsorship. And I suppose the question really is, how are we going to sell the club in a sense.
So I guess if it's not like looking at a specific company, maybe I haven't really thought like exactly how we're gonna do sponsorships, but
Yeah, I think that's the point.
Yeah.
To let you give you that thought. Yeah.
You don't have to answer.
Yeah, I don't have time now. It's really research that you want.
Any other questions? Really? No questions? Yes.
I think since the fact that he asked the question means there's time. Since the conversation started, I think just to finalize what they said, this whole thing about companies sponsoring our club in return for a couple of CVs from our guys, I think it's a fairly, it's quite safe to say that it's a fairly outdated model by now, because as of now, after seeing this for 2 years, I think it's preposterous to tell companies that trying to tell the companies that hiring one Oxford guy is more lucrative than hiring an army of 50 LSE accountants. So, and given that we don't have the numbers, probably it's high time to rethink, to link the big question of what is the club for to the question of what you can sell the club as. The value add must be a very clear link.
To add, so to reflect what Sean Gua's time, what his idea was, essentially was trying to sell OUMC as another platform where people, can invite people to come and discuss about issues in Malaysia. It's finally a big idea, but that was what he tried to sell, I think, in a sense, to sell to some of the companies. At least in what he gave me that feeling. So I suppose it's time to think about how we're gonna. It's not gonna be. I don't think that companies will be content to just say, oh yeah, I find you that. I don't think that's gonna.
well, I guess like if we're looking at welfare and we know that we want to target like upcoming students, I think that can be an area where we can sell OUMCS in that sense. In terms of how like future students coming in and how that may benefit the company. But I guess we have to think about
I know you guys are more interested into bonding and welfare and stuff you mentioned, but essentially when you talk about funding, organizing a program is the way to go. Like it or not, that's how you get money. So if you're interested in welfare, you do something about it, like with welfare fee, and then you can get money from there.
Yeah, definitely a few things to think about. And on that note,
Is that fine? No.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay. One thing that you mentioned is transparency. So, is that just transparency within the committee or within the whole society? Like, are you going to inform members how you're spending the money, and if so, how? And if you're informing members on how you're spending the money, what if the majority of the members disagree on how you're spending the money? Say they don't think you should spend that much money on, for example, makan events or social events. They feel like you should put in more effort in some other sort of events.
So I think it's difficult to please everyone, and we can't be like getting everyone's decision about every event. So I think the fact that if we're voted for committee and we will make the rational decisions on what we want to spend on, and what we prioritize, and yeah.
So will you let the members know how you're spending the money, or is
Yeah,
that just
I think like I'll document it into Excel, and then we can present it in an AGM, or how often?
Just so you know, I've moved everything to Google Docs.
Google Docs, so everyone can access it anytime. Yeah.
At the moment, as it is, nobody has the right to see it except me. I haven't made that available to you yet. On that note, we'd like to thank Esther once again.